All right, it's me, Brian. Um, so hold on to your seatbelts, folks, because this is definitely going to be a bumpy ride. I'm chilling in my bed. I have my wine here that I mix like 3 different flavors of wine, and it's pretty good. And I put a little juice in it too. Because somebody drunk up my wine, so I had to use what was left over from the other bottles. We're not going to get into that. But so today I had a huge epiphany. And when I understood it, I was really taken back by it. And as you can see by the title, you know where I'm going to get into on the topic of a genius. Now, if anybody knows me, I'm a humble person. I'm very, very humble. I'm not cocky at all. I don't really like labels and titles and things like that because I feel it does have limits to what it is. And how I compare myself, I compare myself to that of the universe. And I know that sounds kind of far-fetched and spacey, but what I mean by that is I feel like in life we always constantly feel like we have to live up to a title or live up to a label. And the pressure with that, which it's not because I'm trying to stand out or be grand and special. I mean, that could be a flaw for me, the fact that I don't really get too fixated on the ideas of what the titles are supposed to represent. But for me, it's because of my imperfections. One moment I'm this, the next moment I'm that. So how can I be this thing that I've labeled myself to be when I'm not that all the time? See, when you are an intelligent person or you are a smart person, you're expected to be that all the time. And the moment that you mess up on that, people looking at you like you're sideways. If this person is always known to be confident and they say that I am confident, and then the moment where you're vulnerable and you're sad, people are looking at you, don't even know how to deal with you because they're not used to you being that way, because you've always had to put on the facade of you being this, and that's not you all the time. That's why I appreciate that a lot more black women in this world, they're starting to understand vulnerability, because there's a stereotype going out there of being a strong black woman, and it's getting to the point where it's actually becoming offensive that you're expected to always be strong. You're not, to just go through whatever, and still be able to stand on your own with no support, no male support, no family support. You're just alone doing everything by yourself and expecting to not waver. And that's a lot. That is a lot. And it's not fair. So that's why I feel strongly against titles. If I had to be a title, it would have to represent me in totality. And that's why I have selected to become nothing. And not nothing in the sense of the definition of, oh, you're worthless, but nothing in the sense of the universe, as I was talking about earlier. Think about it. The universe is a large, massive, vast, and it's compared or often described as an empty void of nothingness. But within that empty void of nothingness is everything, literally everything, from planets that are tiny, planets that are 100,000 times larger than the other planet, and so on and so forth. And it just continues to go. It's like there's no bound. I'd rather be compared to that, because honestly, I can relate. I honestly can relate. The thoughts and the ideas and the visions and the dreams that come into my mind are so boundless that it's overwhelming, which caused me to go through a great deal of depression because simply I don't know how to deal with all this energy, with all this ideas and all this freshness. And it's like I start one thing, I can't focus all the way on that one thing. I got to start something else. And so it's not something that's always necessarily a good thing, I would say, but it's just one of those things that what it is. But I believe that I am a genius. And when I say genius, I mean on an Albert Einstein level. And I know that sounds crazy, and it is. And I'm not on the level of like, he was into the physics things and he knew how to apply certain things that no man could ever do. It's not to that degree, but I would say, if I could best describe it, think about a person that's just really exceptionally creative. It's an energy, it's a creative energy that can translate to anything it touches. So, me being a creative person, naturally, I may want to make a pancake a certain way. I may put little whipped cream, strawberries, and things like that. And that's just the way I translate my creative energy. I can use that same creative energy in speaking and having dialogue, or wearing an outfit, or just my, maybe drawing a picture or drawing a character or telling a story. That energy just, it's like some sort of, what's that word? I forgot. Which is another which is another sign of a genius. You often forget things. You're forgetful of small things, small details. And it's because my mind is constantly going non-stop. I am a compulsive thinker naturally. I naturally question everything. I question every single thing. I've questioned religion. I've questioned ideologies, Western ideologies. I've questioned the foods that we eat, the drinks that we drink, theories, statements. I'm always just trying to figure out, well, why is it like this? Or why don't this group of people question this thing? Shouldn't it be questioned? Or why is it that we accept all things as what it is? Where's the challenge? It goes really deep. But right now I am going through a different phase of my life where I have been doing some soul searching. I've realized some truths about myself that I wasn't really willing to accept. And one truth that I stand by is being a person who was traumatized at a young age, and I didn't really understand. I didn't understand it at that time, and I'm just now getting to a level of understanding it here. I've never wanted to put myself in that category. I've never wanted to put such a label on myself. I'm traumatized. If anything, you try to shy away from things that puts like a stain on you, because when you do that, other people notice, other people pay attention, and they don't want to be affiliated with you because of it. And so for the longest time, I'm just like, I don't want to be perceived of this type of way. But if I'm being honest with myself, I know that truth will always set someone free. And then also, you'll be surprised of the many people who actually can relate to you, but they're just too afraid to just open up and be real. So I decided that, you know what, I don't really care. I mean, I've always been pretty much alone in my life. I've always had to process things on my own. I didn't really have people that could really truly understand me on the level that I felt like I need to be understood. And that was kind of like a hurtful thing for me because I just wanted to relate. But any group of people I've ever tried to relate to, every group of people, from family, from churches to social groups to sub-social groups, every person have found something about me that was so different that they had to call it out. And because of them calling it out like that, some maybe not intentional, but it's obvious, and I feel isolated. I feel casted aside. So, but I know that I believe that I am a genius, and this is nothing recent. As I go back into time, I can recall situations that on my level, that's not normal for a child to be able to do or to comprehend. My mother told me once that we were in a dangerous situation, and she said I prayed over her. And I think she said that was at the age of 2 or 3, one of those, where I prayed over her that we would be okay. Another situation that I personally remember was at the age of 4. And this may sound crazy, and maybe it's not. I don't know. I just don't hear many stories about this. But to me, when I think of a 4-year-old, I'm like, didn't you just recently get out of diapers? I remember I was in Detroit, Michigan, and we were on Balfour. I still remember the phone number. I was taught the phone number at the age of 4. That phone number is, I probably shouldn't say it on here because I don't know if it's a working number though, but I'm just going to say it. 886-6714. I'm just going to say that. I'm not going to say what the area code is, but it's 886-6714. That phone number, I remembered it as a kid, as a baby. I remember that phone number. And anyways, I keep getting out of the topic. When I was in Detroit, Michigan, I remember at the age of 4, I stood in front of a bush and I told the bush that I said, my name is Breon and I am 4 years old. And when I get older, I am going to remember this day. I remember vividly saying that to the bush that was in front of my granny's yard, because it was a bush that divided the next house that was next door. So at the age of 4, like, what? I had a lot of responsibility being the oldest out of 7, and just pretty much having to take on a lot of responsibility. But at that age, I was told I changed my first diaper, not my own diaper, but my sibling's diaper, at the age of 4 as well. But I was doing things at like the age of 11, as far as like taking care of the household, changing diapers, baby formula, knowing exactly how to make the baby go to sleep, just things that just came out of nowhere. And you would think people at that age, you're more immature. And I'm not saying I wasn't a kid. I was still a kid, but just my consciousness and my awareness as a kid protected us, because we were underage, by ourselves, practically raising ourselves. So for me to be conscious enough to still take care of everybody and make sure everybody was still safe at that age is astronomical. And being in those situations actually activated my creativity, because I was always creating. You can ask all my siblings, all I do is create. I would sit in a room all day and draw and cut out and create worlds. I created game rooms. I created game boards. I created tents. I was just so creative. It was like I had this euphoric sensation. Anytime I saw a blank piece of paper, I get excited. I literally would get happy. Even to this day, if I go through Walmart and I go through the office, the little office area, and I see stacks of white paper, I literally I get happy. It's weird, but that was one of the first introductions to me tapping into that creative space. So, um, just those type of things, it's not normal. Even as a kid, I was an artist. I could draw my butt off. And people who that know me now in high school, middle school, they know me as the person that draws, and literally I could draw something that I saw visually. I can look at an image and draw exactly what I see. Or I could draw like simple things like circles. It's like he draws a perfect circle. I remember sitting in one of my class. I was in Tulsa, Oklahoma at the time. It was 8th grade. And I don't know if it was an art class or something like that, but I was sitting down and it was like groups of 4 people. And in my group, we all had to draw a circle. And for some reason, no one in my group could draw a perfect circle. Like it was all squiggled and weird shape looking. But they were looking at me like, he draws a perfect circle. Like, how in the world are you doing that? And I'm just like, I don't know. I just drew it. But because of this intelligent thing, it's not the fact that everything is perfect. Because of this intelligent thing or this genius thing, there are certain things about me that are often perceived as flaws. And one is handwriting. My handwriting is horrible. And that's just weird. I don't understand why I have such horrible handwriting. I haven't really looked into that. I just thought about that just now. But I'm just like, how can I draw beautiful images and do this and do that and creative with my fingers and style, but my handwriting looks like crap? And I think in a weird way that handwriting has some sort of direct correlation with emotions. And I realize that I have a lot of raging emotions that range from many different directions and sizes and shapes. And I think that's probably why when I'm writing, it's not pretty. But certain flaws perceived flaws, being a late bloomer. I did everything late in life. Everything. While I was in high school, I was still a kid, where my peers were kind of like adults. They did adult things. They were having sex. They were drinking, going to clubs. And I didn't do any of that stuff. I literally would go home after school and play with my paper action figures that I created. At the age of 14, 15, that probably didn't stop until probably when I was a senior in high school. I didn't get my driver's license until I graduated from college. I got my driver's license after I graduated college. I didn't go to my first bar or first club until the age of like 27. Just there are things in life that I used to just feel bad about. I'm like, dang, like why does it take me so long? But even with me understanding certain complexities of this world, you can tell me something very, very simple, and I can't understand what you're telling me, and it makes me feel like, damn, am I dumb? But it's because my brain just constantly over analyzes. So sometimes you're saying something very simple and my brain just thinks that there has to be a trick, because I'm constantly dealing with that. If we think about schools and when you take your tests, they're always trying to play tricks with your mind. They're always trying to confuse you. So that kind of programmed me to make me feel like it just can't be that simple. So I get lost or I get fog brain. But it's weird that when I finally can understand something that's extremely complex, I can transfer that information and to make it simpler where someone could definitely understand it. And that's also very odd. But I often do that. The fact that I can read people so well, I feel like I just know people. I don't have to know their story. I don't have to know their background. I literally just I it's like something speaking to me when I talk to this person. It can be 1 minute of a conversation. Under that 1 minute, I have figured out 1,000 things about you in under a minute. And I know when someone's been hurt. I know when someone's been abused. I know when someone has attachment issues. I know when someone, is just extremely happy or they're at peace in their life. I know when someone is lost. You know, I think about people in my life who I've been somewhat of a counselor to, even adults, where I'm counseling adults, where I have not went through the life experiences that this person has been through because they've lived longer than I have. Yet I'm giving you knowledge and information as if I've lived on this planet for over 60 years and I've only lived on this planet for 31. Even my mom has told me, "You're pretty advanced for your age." Even she had to say that to me one time. You are pretty darn advanced for your age. And for some reason, I don't think anyone ever just recognized this about me. It's just they really couldn't, because it's like, why is he like this? Why is he so strange? He's weird. And I don't get it. I'm constantly by myself. I like solitude, but at the same time, I love being social. I love, meeting new people and just having fun. But my safety zone, my comfort nest is when I'm alone in solitude, and if I'm doing too much social stuff, I shut down. I can't process. I have to shut down. I'm like, gotta close the doors and be by myself for a second. You know, sometimes I'll shut down all social media. Sometimes I'll maybe shut off my phone. Sometimes I might block people that don't know that they're blocked because I don't tell them. But it's to help me to not get back into that mindset when I'm trying to take a break, because I have to process things. Um, what else? Oh God, this is a lot. Oh God, I talk to myself. I talk to myself a lot, and it's not because I'm crazy. Because I don't answer myself. I'm not like, hey Brian or whatever. But I do have full dialogue conversations out loud, and I think it just helps me to process things. Sometimes I got to be careful, because sometimes you sitting in your car and you're at a parking lot somewhere, and people pulling up and they looking at you like, "What's wrong? Is this?" But sometimes people can think that you're either on your headset or you're talking in your car. But I do talk often. That is actually therapeutic for me. I have to talk out loud, um, to myself. And sometimes I'm going off. Just depends on what I'm feeling or what I'm going through in that moment. But yes, I have accepted it, and I am convinced that I am indeed a genius. I am a genius, and I'm a creative genius. I'm in the creative field of geniuses. Um, I literally can do a lot of different things, from acting, from singing, to dancing, to drawing, to writing stories, to writing sci-fi. I believe I could write novels because I have so many stories. I literally, in high school, I wrote 7 different stories or ideas that all had their own separate stories that I said one day I'll revisit to actually make it into a full-fledged story. I have so much that comes through my brain, and it's overwhelming. And it's overwhelming when, you're living your life and you haven't truly lived your life, because I'm constantly trying to figure shit out. And that's just where I'm at right now in my life. And I understood that, man, because of me being more aware of my genius and also being aware of me being a person that's been traumatized, I've also realized that I'm a person who realizes that he's lived his life in a whole lie, that things that I thought were the truth were never the truth. And these belief systems and these customs that I've adapted to have pretty much orchestrated my entire life up until this point. So, and a lot of the times that applies to a lot of us, where your life has literally been orchestrated by false beliefs. Your belief system now is what causes you to work the job that you work, or get into the relationships that you have, or wear the clothes that you wear. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. But to know that if I tapped into who I am and I see my truth and I'm not afraid to accept and own what that truth is, you know, you will begin to see things differently. And you're just like, whoa, wow. It's almost like that Wizard of Oz situation, that man and that was in that one little room, and all of it was just smoke and mirrors the whole time. A lot of the pains that we experience, we have been brainwashed to believe that we actually have problems, that we have issues, and we really don't. I think the biggest issue is it's the lies. That's the issue. If we can just be truthful with the truth.